Now, back to Miller on Sports, the show that puts pro in sports. Everything else is just talk.
I guess we aren't batting 1,000. At least we're on base, though. You know, we're on base looking for Alan Verlander, Jacksonville's executive director of sports and entertainment. Usually joins us, and we've been doing this the last couple weeks. Joining us Wednesdays at about 5:20 right here on 1600 The Beach, getting a feel for what's going on right here on the First Coast, whether it's sports and or entertainment. And I think that's what a lot of people kind of forget with his title. They think sports, and they just think, oh, okay, well, you know, what's going on with the Jags? What's happening with the Gators? What's happening down at the arena, the baseball grounds, or the Florida Theater? Actually, you need to remember the Florida Theater and a few others, because it's the entertainment aspect. Kind of like ESPN. That entertainment is in there. That's why it's kind of goofy, and I'm sure why you probably turn it off along with me. So we'll try and find Alan Verlander. The amazing Kreskin will join me as well. Hopefully, you know, the way we're batting today, we've got too much pine tar on the bat is what's going on. Ozzie Guillen is yelling at us right now. That's what's happening. And we're just trying to be Bryce Harper, you know, chill, showing him the bat a little bit, you know, being a punk youngster, I guess, is what we're trying to do on this Wednesday afternoon. But that's what happens when it rains and we stay inside all day and we don't get to skip and run around and pick flowers and chase after butterflies. No. So we'll try and find Alan Verlander. Should be fun. 1600 The Beach. You can always find me on Facebook and Twitter. It's Miller on Sports. So I was just kind of looking at some comments from SEC Media Day, and the characters continue. I don't even know if they're caricatures, if they're just characters. I don't know what they are, whether it's Steve Spurrier, John L. Smith, Gary Pinkel. I mean, it's just one after the next, coach after coach, saying something very entertaining. I mean, definitely giving me some chuckles during the timeouts. Les Miles, though, it looks like it was about 20 minutes or so ago. The Les Miles was saying when he was talking to the media that no game is won on a Twitter page. No game is won on a Twitter page. The quotes from the great Les Miles. Runner-up at the most recent college football championship game. BCS, do we still want to call it that, or do we want to move on? I don't know. We might have to move on. Let's bring in Alan Verlander. He joins us Wednesdays at 5:20, the Executive Director of Sports and Entertainment. You can find him on Twitter at Alan Verlander. How you doing, Alan?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm doing pretty good. You staying out of this rain?
I am trying. You know, we've been in meetings all day. It's funny. We were out at Mayport earlier today walking around, and it was gorgeous. And now, all of a sudden, we started planning, actually, the Florida-Georgia weekend, and started raining. So I don't know what that means.
That's not good, Alan. How's it coming along with Florida-Georgia? Plans look good?
We are just in the, beginning stages of really working through that, but it is. It's coming together well. I think we're going to have another sellout, so that's a positive thing, you know. So the plans are really we're looking at a lot of the Hall of Fame stuff that's already come out, and how do we, the goal is how do we make this event, even though it's a spectacular event, how do we make it better? And so that's what our team's looking at.
Alan, over the last couple weeks, we've been talking quite a bit about Florida Georgetown, the college basketball game. What's been the overall response from sports fans about the higher prices for the sponsorship packages?
It's been very positive. I mean, we've had some people call and express their concern about that it's too much. And I actually talked to a gentleman. I guess it was on Monday, and he said that he couldn't believe that we made this event so exclusive. And I said, well, sir, where are you from? And he said Jacksonville. And I said, well, how many people are in the city of Jacksonville? And he said 1.2 million. And I said, okay, well, let's use your number at 1.2 million. Mm-hmm. I said, understand, we could only have 5,000 seats on that deck.
Yeah.
So that means, using your figure, 1,195,000 would not be able to be on the deck anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's a pretty exclusive event anyway.
Yeah.
And so whether you charge $50, $1, or $1,000, and so the sales has just gone crazy. I mean, they've really our people are still adding up all the numbers, and it has been a Monday and Tuesday were a steady flow, and today was even more of the same. So this thing is selling like we expected it to.
Do you think it's going to be a guaranteed sellout?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know when we get to that point, but I totally anticipate that well before basketball season even starts.
Alan, what is the official title of this matchup between Florida and Georgetown? I know we've talked about the Carrier Classic, but does it have an official title?
We are working on the name Navy Marine Corps Classic.
Okay.
We are working with the Navy on a lot of licensing stuff, and let me say, the Navy has been awesome to work with. The people out there at the Mayport today were just Class A. I mean, it was just unbelievable. But as you would expect with any business, but the Navy, being one of our main defense mechanisms, they have a lot of legal stuff that we have to work through with them. So, we are hoping to, and we'll settle on the name Navy Marine Corps Classic here soon. But nevertheless, of whatever we call it, it's going to be a spectacular event, and it will be, it's going to be a hard ticket to get.
Jackson, actually, Alan, you and I both love Jacksonville, born and raised here and everything. We're all about the Jacksonville scene, whether it's sports or whatever. Would you say that Jacksonville is a basketball town?
I don't know if I could say it's a basketball town. I think it's got a lot of basketball fans
in
our town.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could go as far as to say it's a basketball town. I think people here love their basketball. Certainly, it's distant to football. Football here rules, and people know that. But people do. I mean, if you look at the NCAA tournaments that we hosted 2 times, and obviously this game and just the different games that have been here, people do like basketball. Now, at Indiana, you could throw a basketball out in the middle. It really doesn't matter who plays, and they're going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
So, here it does depend on matchups. It does depend on the height of the event. And there are people here that love basketball, but I don't know. I mean, what about you, Richard? I mean, you think we can go as a basketball town?
I would not call it a basketball town. It's kind of on the fringe. I mean, we've seen some successes and some failures over the last few years, but basketball town is probably a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. But there are tons and tons of people here in Jacksonville that love their basketball.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. We had a conversation with Alan Verlander, the City of Jacksonville's Executive Director of Sports and Entertainment. You can follow him on Twitter. The handle is at Alan Verlander. Now, we know with this game, Alan, between Florida and Georgetown, that some of the sponsorship packages, it's dealing with the Jaguars in that game. Are y'all trying, in the city, more importantly, trying to work more with the Jacksonville Jaguars?
We are. I mean, the Jaguars are a partner, and we're obviously the first name of their tag is Jacksonville, and so we want to make sure that we do everything possible that they're successful. And Mark Lamping, the president, and Bill Prescott, and I have formed a great relationship and are communicating all the time. And so, when it came to put this basketball game together, and one of the things that they are really trying to do, and we're trying to help them, is, on Thanksgiving,
mm-hmm.
Okay, Richard, I'll pose this difficult question to you.
Okay.
On Thanksgiving, who are the 2 teams that always play on Thanksgiving?
Oh, well, let's see.
I know it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Lions and Cowboys?
There you go. Okay, so you always think of Thanksgiving Day as the Lions and the Cowboys are playing. Well, what the Jaguars and the military are trying to do with the NFL is create the Thursday night before Veterans Weekend as the Jaguars always play that night at home.
Interesting.
Create a huge, big deal. And since we're a Navy town and we're a military town, that makes a lot of sense to kick off the Salute to Service Week for the NFL. And so we're really trying to work with them to help brand that. and we are going to make this this basketball game in conjunction with the football game an annual event.
Mm-hmm.
And no, Florida, may not play in it every year, but imagine if this game next year was Indiana Duke or big matchups. And so that's what we're really going to try to go after and make this an annual big deal to celebrate our military and celebrate our Jaguars.
Alan, staying on the Jaguars topic, I'm sure you've seen the Jaguars.com is compiling its 25 best Jaguars in franchise history. Real quick, could you give me your top 5 Jaguars?
Top 5 Jaguars. Wow. I think Mark Brunell has definitely got to be there. Tony Pacelli has definitely got to be there. I think Josh Scobie has not because he lives down the street from me, but he's if we hadn't had him the last few years, he's been one of our best players. Fred Taylor's got to be on that list.
Mm-hmm.
And probably Jimmy Smith.
Yeah.
If you look at that, Maurice Jones. I mean, there's so many.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you this. I mean, I think Scobie, and not just because we just signed him, but it's got to be somewhere on that list as well. And
yeah, Alan,
I could probably put 5 together and real quickly.
Alan, we're out of time. It's always a pleasure. Thanks again.
Thanks. Talk to you next week.